Happy to have this time of the day here, Mondays, to talk with Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury and say good morning to him. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How you doing? Good to see you. First day of spring.
Yes.
It's nice out there for sure.
Oh, yes. No rain. Looks great.
Let's talk about some issues here. We've got some crime statistics that are down. Also, you were up in the North End and out and about talking with different communities about some immigration issues. And where would you like to start on? Which one of those?
You can look at the crime. We actually, you actually talked about it, I think, the week before it came out in the paper. The crime numbers look really good for us anytime they go down, especially when you're looking in the areas of burglaries and thefts. Those are really tough, and in most areas they've gone up, and other counties and things are really high. We saw that our vehicle thefts, I think, went up by 1 or 2 this year over years past. We're down, I think it was 74 this year. I think the first year I came here there was over 200. So
wow.
We've come way down in the last number of years, and I really credit the work of our what we had as a traffic unit back then when we started, and the work of our folks out on the road. So that made a big difference for us. But it looks great to see those numbers coming down. And again, my biggest concern has been is that we felt that if we had the office at the North End going, put deputies up there, and if we had a jail that we could put people in, we would bring that down for accountability. And now with that jail being full, we're watching these very, very closely over the next couple of years to see if that crime trend starts to creep up, because our jail, the inn, is full.
Do you have any other areas that are more satellite offices, either thinking about it in the future, or places that you kind of come in and out and hang your hat? I'm thinking maybe Hoodsport area or things like that.
We had actually looked a few years ago at having there was a business owner had a space out in Matlock area, actually. So it wouldn't be somewhere where people would be sitting in there all day in and out like we do up the North End, but a place to where if our people are out there, they can stop in and do paperwork and that kind of thing. And it's tough because we have so few people. If we put too many offices, we'd have one person maybe for each office if we're lucky. But it's made a big difference in the high population areas. And now everything, there's a lot of stuff in your car. You can do a lot of things in the car. The first year I came here, very, very few computers, and people would go up to the North End, take calls, come down to the South End to write the reports. And now, with computers in the cars, it saves us a ton of time. So it's a big difference.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there weren't computers in the cars when I came here. It was about 20 years behind everybody else. And so now, guys can do a lot of work right in their cars. It makes a big difference.
Let's talk about the conversations you were having. I saw some photos on social media. You, Chief Sperling, also Commissioner Schutte, talking with, I think the main photo I saw was with the kind of the Guatemalan population here in the county. Is that a large population here in the county?
Well, I'll tell you, we want to talk a little bit about the immigration issues. And quite honestly, I know people have their strong opinions probably on both sides of this. The bottom line is I travel throughout the community and meet people from the Latino community overall. Very, very concerned about the overall issues in the United States right now, what's going on. Very, very scared, quite honestly, of what's going on. And many of the folks that have totally legally be here have that same fear. And they had some concerns about what ICE has done and how they operate, and how we do or don't collaborate with them, which we really don't. And I think we resolved a lot of fears in the community up there about we do not, none of us, and you heard Chief Moody and I both talk about this, we don't work for ICE. We're not a member of ICE. We don't assist them. That's a totally separate organization, and ours is criminal activities, what we look at. Those other things are federal civil law, and those are federal civil issues, I should say, that are dealt with through immigration, not us. And I think that relieved a lot of the fears. One of the challenges was for us, Sheriff Gary Simpson and I were both there talking about this as well, and we're going to have a meeting with all the all the sheriffs in the state will be meeting this week, all 39 of us. And one of the issues we're discussing is it's really challenging for somebody to get in that community to get an ID. You have to have so much other ID to get a Washington State ID, and it makes it very, very difficult. And that's one thing the community brought to our attention. It was very hard for them to get a valid ID, so you can get valid rent, valid contracts, everything. So it's been real challenging for them in that way.
Interesting. The other stories that we're hearing about, do you have any updates for us on how Larry's doing from the shooting of Spencer Lake last week? I know you went and saw him.
I went over and saw Larry, and I talked to him again, called him this week. All things considering what happened, it's amazing to me that he's out. He's up, moving around.
Yeah.
I heard he was back at work already.
Amazing.
And absolutely unbelievable how well he's doing. And we have to wait. I have to be a little careful on commenting on that until our prosecutors, the case is done and everything. But just a really tragic situation. Very, the way it happened, but absolutely amazing that Larry's in great shape and everybody's really pulling for him. And,
Yeah.
He seems to be doing well. When I talk to him on the phone, a lot better than you'd ever think anybody could be doing from that.
Amazing. Human trafficking is an issue that kind of bubbles up and comes down when various things come around the nation here, but it is a big issue and can be a big issue here in Washington. Talk to me about this.
Well, a lot of it, I've been to a couple training classes on it. It started a few years ago, and we started getting a little more well-versed in this as a number of sheriffs started to look at it. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it begins at the border crossing as well, where people come in and they just simply don't have, on these young persons, they just don't really have any ID anyway, and then they're brought into this human trafficking where they're moved around the country, and when you have no ID or nobody to contact and you're stuck in that system, it's tough to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a look at it because of the populations in the communities, and have been into some other communities with some other sheriffs and talked about the issues they're having, mostly in the bigger city population areas. And so I took a look at it, and we really wanted to make sure that we don't have something like that going on or something we're not missing. And so we've been watching it pretty closely, but I'm also having a friend of mine from the FBI come down and do a discussion on that, a little training on what they're looking at the federal level as they see these things moving around, these basically the organized crime rings is what they are, and what they're seeing, and how we can resolve that, or if we start to see something, a trend, we know what where to move with it.
And that's within the United States. That's not trafficking folks outside, or
we're talking mostly in the smaller communities, in our minority communities, where it's again, the ID thing is an issue, where they're really, it's children. It's prostitution is what it is.
Okay.
It's moving kids around. I mean, human trafficking, but it's moving people around for that purpose, and they're very, very young, usually young girls, and it's occurring more, what I can say, in the larger city areas, and moving, using people in a criminal activity, and then moving to another place in a brief amount of time, so you can't track them around. And so we did a training last year with a regional training with some of the sheriffs, and then this year, like I said, I'm going to have the FBI come out and address that issue again and see what their trends that they're seeing is.
Wow. I'd always assumed a lot of it was off country, sending people from here somewhere else.
No, it's mainly people are coming in from other countries.
Wow.
They're coming in here and being used in this country to move around. And so we're just taking a look at that, and it'd be nice to have that training. Bureau's going to come down and offer that for us.
Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, always nice talking with you here Mondays at this time. Have a great rest of your day.